Hello, this is Benjamin with DealerSpike, and today's video will be covering how to set up the blog tool. It comes in 3 different parts. First is making sure that the blog page is in fact active. The second is placement of the blog tool on the blog page. And finally, we'll be actually creating a blog post. Let's get going. So first, we're on our dashboard, and we'll scroll down in the menu until we get to content. Within content, we'll go to pages. Now here we're looking for the actual blog page to see if it is in fact active. And we can see in the B section here, it is not here. So we'll immediately go to show inactive. We'll go to the blog page and we'll activate it by going and clicking on the active checkbox and then clicking save. Now that we've got that in place, let's go ahead and make sure that we have our blog component in place. So for that, we'll jump back to our dashboard once again. We'll scroll down here on the left side of the middle page here until we get to a spot labeled sites. Within sites, we'll click on components. And we can see that the blog tool is here. Now, if your blog tool isn't here, let me show you how you would actually go and get it. So we'll go down to Marketplace. Now, Marketplace is for adding in features and functions that don't currently exist on your website. But because it is not yet completely ready for public, I would suggest not going in there until you are directly told by someone at DealerSpike, because the likelihood of it messing up the look or functionality of your site, if you don't know what you're doing, is highly likely. Now that we got that warning out of the way, let's jump into Marketplace. Once we get into Marketplace, we're going to sort by just components, and then we'll scroll down to the B section, and we can see that the blog tool has already been purchased. Now I use purchase lightly because it is a $0 add-on. So if you hadn't seen this message, you'd simply click on add to cart, and then you'd be able to add it in to that components list. But since we already have it, let's go ahead and go back to components. So let's go back to our dashboard. We'll scroll down again along this left side of this middle page. So again, we go into sites and components. Now we have the blog tool component here, but there's no instance of the actual blog tool. So we can't get to the blog editor without that tool instance being there. And when it comes to components, think of components as building blocks for your site. In other words, they are a block of content that shows up, and you use those blocks of content to dictate the look, feel, and function of your website. So we'll go and hit on add new blog tool instance. Now we've got that there. Now we have to go in and set up that component. So we'll go in and click on the gear or cog that you see to the right. Component title, we're going to go ahead and leave this as blog tool just to keep things simple. Now we'll go down and make sure that the component rules are set up. So in other words, what page do you want this component to be shown on? Right now it says only available on the actual blog page of our site. That's perfect. We don't want to change that. We'll go ahead and hit save, and that's gone through and saved. Lovely. Now we'll jump back to our dashboard. Now we've got the blog tool set up. The page is active. Now we actually have to go in and make sure that within the layouts, it's actually going to appear on the correct page in the area that we've selected. So we'll scroll down yet again to sites, and this time we're going to go into layouts, the only one with a pictographic icon next to it. Now the blog page is not on the home page, it's on an internal page, so we'll click on the internal pages layout. We'll go into main content, which is where most of the features you would see that you would click on or interact with are, things like CTAs and paragraphs and things of that nature. And then we're going to go to individual components above page assets. And now I don't see it added here, so let's go add element. We're going to go to that blog tool, and then we go and click on the blog tool that we just created. Excellent. Now it's in there. Now there is no save button on this layouts page, the internal page layouts, but there is a publish appearance settings button. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll wait for that to go through, and there we are. Next, we'll go ahead and jump back to our dashboard. And now that we have set and made sure the blog page is active, we have a component for it. And now we've told that component where we want to be within layouts. Let's go ahead and make an entry. So now we'll scroll down again and we'll go to sites. And this time you may see a new tool available in your editor. It's the one that looks like it has a pencil and piece of paper. And now we can say, hi, welcome to SquidX. SquidX is the original program that we got in order to have a blog tool on our sites. We'll go to where where the name of our site is, and we'll click on Edit. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is create what they call a schema. A schema is just a placeholder so that you can actually have the name of a blog section and an entry. So we'll click on New Schema, and now we'll just name this Blog Tool once again, and it cannot have any spaces or special characters. So we're just going to go Blog Tool, very simple. Now, you would think you'd click on one of these major large buttons, but nope, you go down to Blog Schema. Now, it has all the areas and required fields that it's going to list down here if you understand basic either CSS or HTML. We'll go ahead and click Create, and there we have it. Now, there's all the different fields that we can fill in, but how do we actually fill it in? Sure, go to Content. We'll select the schema that we just created, and then we'll hit New. Post title, just for this example, we're going to go ahead and do Blog Tool once again. The slug, which is a fancy way of saying this is the actual text title that you'll click on to read this blog entry. So we'll just say test. Text, we'll put something in here, just put more information coming soon. Very simple. And now we'll go down to the only other required field, which is short description. This is the description that you'll see before you actually get to the main blog entry that you want to read. So you can decide if you want to read it. And of course, you can have a featured image for this particular blog entry. We're not going to do that today. And you can also fill in all this information down below. We'll go ahead and hit Save and Publish. Now, we've made a bunch of changes. We have saved them all. Now, let's go ahead and publish them over to your site, or as I like to think of it, a final write to the site. We'll click on the name of my business and run the Publish Changes and wait for that publish to go through. Very nice. Go back to our home page. Before we do anything, we're just going to refresh the page in order to bring in all of that new information. Now, I don't have an actual blog dedicated button anywhere on my homepage, including this primary navigation up top. So we'll simply go into the address bar that we see here, and after the .com, we'll type a /blog and hit enter on our keyboard. You can see the master title up top of blog, so we know this is the blog page. Great. You can see the organization here, so the home page, and then of course the click to get to the blog page. The title of our blog, title of all of the posts within this particular section of blog posts. This is where we talked about you could call it a summer or a winter blog post if you wanted to. You've got the title of the blog had we given it one, and then of course it would have a minor description as well. If you had added a picture, that would have been here, and if we click on read more, you can see that this is where the pictures and text and whatever else you had entered would be as well. Now we'll go ahead and head back to our home page of our site, as well as head back to our editor. This has been Benjamin with setting up the blog tool and creating a blog post. Until I see all of you again, thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.